Hey guys, this is Trey.
And this is Sparsh here.
Yes, and welcome back to Speak True Sports. As you can see, Bert is not here. He is currently on vacation right now, so the show must go on. We got to carry on the show.
hmm
Obviously, there's a lot of big NBA news going on. The Olympics coming up pretty soon. The finals, of course, going on. But there's other things that are very interesting that are going on with the NBA. And today, just reported today, Damian Lillard. There's rumors that Damian Lillard might want out and that he might request for a trade out of Portland. And he has denied some of these rumors, but I don't know how truthful it is. We'll just jump right into the topic. Sparsh, I know you have some quotes on
Yeah,
this
I, I
subject.
I have I have a quote from Chris Hayes. He's a Yahoo Sports insider, and he's a pretty reputable source. So this is what I'm going to read off here, and this is what Damian Lillard says. I'm not getting any younger. Our environment has always been great. We're not losing a lot, but we were eliminated by a shorthanded Denver team that I felt we should have beat. I just walked away from that really disappointed. I was like, man, this just isn't going to work. We're not winning the championship, but we've got a successful organization. We're not a franchise that's just out here losing every year and getting divided. We have positive seasons, we just don't end up with a championship. So I feel like at this point, I basically made the decision that if you do what you've always done, you'll always be where you've always been. I feel like I've earned the right to say we must do better. We must do better if we want to win on that level. So then after that, there was a statement saying Lillard will address his future in Portland after today's Team USA practice, according to Chris Haynes, right? And then, after that, he says it's not true, right? And then there was this post on Bleacher Report where, Damian Lillard says, if you look at our team as it is, I don't see how you say this is a championship team. We just need a new coach. So I'll just give sort of a quick response on it, and I'll give it to you next. You know that quote with what Chris Hayes, what Damian Lillard said. I have no problem with it. He's 31 years old, right? I was actually kind of surprised. I thought he was like 28, but I was like, oh, 31. Yeah, he's been in the league for a long time, and I feel like he has the right to say those kind of things, especially considering what he's brought this team to. They went to a Western Conference Finals, and like even like this playoffs, you see him like just fully exert himself. That noteworthy game, that 55 point, forcing OT twice, and then still coming short. It's just like, what do we do from here, right? It's just I can feel that frustration from him because this Portland team, it's a very talented team, like a really big group of talented guys, but the way they play together, it's just not winning basketball, and I really feel that Dame has a right to be saying all this. I mean, what do you think, Trey?
I mean, Damon's in the 100% in the right. He's been there for a long time. He's been his whole career there as of now, and I feel like there's a lot of things he missed out on. I feel like he could have been a bigger All Star or had more All Star selections. He could have been in more All NBA team recognition. He could have gotten a lot more things if he was just elsewhere.
Mm.
But I feel like this team, it's been the same old. It's frustrating. I couldn't imagine being a Trailblazers fan right now because I just feel like you're always good, but you're just never good enough. And with McCollum being there and Nurkic and those guys, they're talented players. You just got to figure out what else can they do. They have the talent, they
Hmm.
have players who can be on contending teams, but you know, they can't put it all together. And, they're with their coach, they let go of Terry Stouts, and we thought that that would kind of be the next thing. But, I don't even know if Damian Lillard signed off on Chauncey Billups being the guy because he was vouching really hard for Jason Kidd. And obviously that never came through. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Lillard, you can't really blame him for being frustrated. Imagine doing something for year in year out and missing out every single year. I mean, even when they made the Western Conference Finals, for them to get just swept by the Warriors like that was you would at least imagine them, to take one or two games, but they just got swept, and it
Yeah.
just feels like it's the same old with them. And I, can you really blame him? Like
Yeah.
you really can't.
Yeah.
He has all the credibility in the world to say something like this.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like with the Warriors, right? I know people are gonna say, well, but it's the Warriors, but then you had teams like Harden, like Harden's Rockets that almost upset the KD Warriors at that time, right? That team was built really well, though to a fault. They had that live by the three, die by the three kind of system, right? But yeah, I mean, Damian Lillard, his loyalty, it's great, but it's almost to a fault, right? One player that I just get reminded of, when I think of Damian Lillard is Kevin Garnett. When he was in Minnesota for that long time, and he also even brought them to their like Western Conference Finals appearance, right? And there was that one quote that really sticks, and he just said, my one biggest regret is just sort of not getting out of Minnesota sooner, right? Finally being able to be in a different situation like Boston and actually win a title for him, and establish a pretty great team, right? That was considered one of these super teams of that time. Um, I think at this point, Damian Lillard just needs to be around a team that is better built around him. This Portland team, I'm not sure what's going to really happen from here. Like how they can really build that team around him, if any players even want to really get or go to Portland during this off season, right? So I'm just not really sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Portland doesn't seem like a place you would want to go to right now. I think for the reason that
Mm-hmm.
you just see their cycle. Like you can make the playoffs and you can get places, but you just won't get to the promised land. And I don't know how appealing that is. And then to have a star like Damian Lillard, who's pretty much the heart and soul of the team, just be on such shaky grounds as of recent with the team and how it's been managed, it makes you think who really wants to be in Portland when they can't even make their main guy happy. Um, when
Yeah.
franchises and organizations can't support their star players when they know that star player is a generational talent or a great talent, it makes you look at the franchise more so than the player. I agree with your statement earlier. He is loyalty to a fault. I think that at the end of the day, NBA, it's a business. You got to make the best decision for yourself. And I know there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
decisions people have made, from Kevin Durant to LeBron James to other decisions, Kevin Garnett's, Ray Allen, all those guys, to just go to teams where they are solely made to win a championship. It comes to a point where sometimes you really just want to win. And I think for Lillard, 31 years old,
Mm-hmm.
he's playing out of his mind. He's fairly healthy. He can definitely be a great piece to a championship team. And for me, if he stays in Portland and they have another dud of a season, as in them not making the finals or anything like that, then can you really blame him for wanting out? And
Yeah.
he might deny the rumors and all that stuff, but there has to be some truth to all this. I think that it's frustrating for him, and I think he's frustrated. I don't think he wants his frustrations to be set up in public just yet, because he doesn't want to, I guess, get in trouble or any tampering or like that. Because like Zach Levine did say, there's been a lot of tampering going on with Team USA during
Mm-hmm.
this time, but for him, he needs to. I don't think he needs to go, but if he wants to win, he does need to leave.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also just sort of like how sort of the media analyzes players now, right? I mean, like right now, like in the finals that's going on, like there's a huge discussion like where Chris Paul is going to be, and lots of like media analysts are kind of like really, you know, choosing their ranking whether Chris Paul will win that championship or not, right? And at the end of his career, like lots of analysts will be looking at, oh, yeah, this guy was great, but he never really won a championship, you know, with this team, etc. And I think at this point, Dame wants to sort of elevate himself to that next level and be and say, although I wasn't able to win it at home, I was at least able to get to the promised land and you know deliver at the highest level, right? So that's another way I sort of see that situation. That, Damian Lillard should just probably be out of Portland and just find another environment that can you know make it more suitable for him to thrive and win a championship around.
Yeah. Now, speaking on destinations, there has been some potential rumored places where they're very interested in Damian Lillard. I know one mainly being the Knicks. Um,
Yeah.
My thing is with the Knicks, I think the Knicks highly overachieved this season, and I don't want to discredit them for the next season, but I do not think they will play this well, and I think it will be
Yeah.
a big mistake for him to go there, especially if he wants to win a championship. Now, if he wants to be a playoff team, yeah, he can make that team a playoff team, but championship rings, come on, like New York, you know.
He'll definitely like make the Mecca like really exciting, but I'm just not sure how he would be able to bring that team to the finals, especially when you got teams like Brooklyn and Milwaukee still there. The Sixers are still there, right? I mean, those three, they're a pretty big powerhouse in the East. Brooklyn, like they had some pretty freak injuries that were going on. But I mean, when you saw like the team, even just with KD and Kyrie, that, they had like a 49-point lead against Milwaukee at one point, right? I mean, like that's a pretty great team. Then and then Milwaukee, of course, Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, you've got a great trio over there, and the Sixers as well, right? I mean, even without, if whether Simmons or not will be there, I mean, they're still a good team, at least they have Embiid over there as their, sort of their centerpiece. Yeah, I don't see the Knicks really a place that Damian Lillard would want to request a trade to. Unless they can find some sort of way to add another star to that. At least, to the Knicks' benefit, these guys have sort of upped a lot of their value as well. So they could become some sort of trade assets, but I'm not sure if Damian Lillard would just be that one main superstar over there. Because I'm not sure if Julius Randle will be sort of that number 2 guy, especially considering, like his recent playoff run. It's kind of been a bit rough for him, and he might need some more time as well. Another sort of highly discussed destination I've been hearing a lot, especially last week, was the Warriors. And that was actually a pretty big surprise as well. I've been seeing sort of lots of jokes around, people saying, oh, yeah, like the Warriors are going to score like 150 a game, but, where's that defense at? But I'm not really sure what they can sort of package around to get Dame. And if, there were some people saying that, maybe it would be good if they just give Clay out. But then again, you're probably going to lose some defense as well from that, because Clay's also a really good on-ball defender. And Dame doesn't really have too much of that. So you might be making some compromise over there. But then again, we'll have to see what Clay will be like when he's back. Yeah, do you have some other trade places?
I've seen Los Angeles Clippers. I've seen I think Miami Heat, but I promise you, every superstar that talks about leaving, Miami Heat's always somehow in the mix, even when it doesn't make sense. And I don't see him going to the Heat. I don't know what the Heat can really give up. I mean, there was one point where they overvalued Tyler Hero and wouldn't even package him in a James Harden trade. So I don't know what Pat Riley would want to do in that situation for Lillard. I feel like he would try to definitely lowball as much as possible, which I don't think Portland wanted that. I think Portland wants a really good trade package in that situation, and rightfully so. I mean, that is their franchise centerpiece for the past years, of course. But there's one place where I feel like if he really is dedicated to winning a championship, I mean, and call me crazy or whatever, the Lakers. Now what this situation is, it's pretty much AD or Lillard. What do you value more? What do you want more? Lillard, he's very consistent. He's been fairly healthy for most of his career. He's a great shooter, which the Lakers could always use shooting, especially from the 3 ball, because that team struggles a lot with the 3. He kind of fills all those things. But with him, you do lose defense. AD, great defensive player. He can even, he can shoot the ball. He can spread the floor. He's a great player, but he's just never healthy. So with them, they would have to pick and choose. I feel like this would be a very ideal place for him to want to win a championship. And I feel like with LeBron growing older, he can't always carry the Lakers as we saw this past for this postseason. He's growing up. He's going up in age. He's 36. I think Lillard would
You're
be.
19 now. Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's
I think
crazy.
Lillard, he would be the answer to a lot of LeBron's problems. But at the same time,
Yeah.
if LeBron, if he does go out, which doesn't usually happen in most seasons, um, what is that team going to do defensively? Because they're one of the best defensive
Hmm.
teams in the NBA. But if they can't have LeBron, or if they AD's traded away and just Lillard, I don't know how great that defense will be. Just Lillard being there. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I can sort of see the reasoning behind like the Lakers. As much as people are saying that they're like really against it, I can see sort of the reasoning that now you have Lillard as sort of your primary scorer, and LeBron will finally be able to take another step back and just be sort of more of the playmaker, right? Lillard moves off the ball pretty well. He can create the 3-point shot as well. And you don't really have to rely on him too much for the playmaking, right? And he's pretty much better as sort of like a score first kind of guard. Um, with the sort of like the defense situation, the Lakers will probably have to make some other moves around that, because they really had a big sacrifice when they lost McGee and Howard. That was sort of their main problem with their defense, right? Just sort of those two bigs that were sort of gone. If they can find some way to sort of compensate for that on their end, through some other players, that could be essential, and maybe Dame would be able to also leverage that to get him in the Lakers as well. There are two other teams that I've been hearing rumors about. I've been hearing about actually three. I've been hearing sort of about the Utah Jazz, the Sixers, and also the Boston Celtics. So the Utah Jazz, there was a tweet that was like long time back about which team Lillard would prefer to play for, and I remember seeing that the Jazz and the Lakers were on those two. The thing is with the Jazz, it's sort of really depending on, okay, so what does Donovan Mitchell like want, right? Because there have been rumors that he might want out. So maybe somewhere around there. And then there's also Mike Conley, right? What sort of contract is he going to be asking for next? Will the Jazz be able to sort of compensate for Lillard's contract, right? Because he did sign a supermax, and I think he has like 4 years left or something like that. So it's a pretty big contract. Now with the Boston Celtics, like this one is sort of like, it hasn't really been discussed much, but I did see it. And, Boston, they kind of like, they don't really have like lots of picks like right now, at least recently, but they do have control of their picks from 2023 to 2027. And Jaylen Brown has, made a really big improvement this year, alongside Tatum. So, if they can find some sort of way to sort of build some package around Jaylen Brown, right, and then include those picks in as well, so then that would put Boston, in that East powerhouse. Now you have Tatum, and then you have Lillard, and you got a bunch of other great defensive guys and role players as well in that team, right? Then you can have some sort of chance in the East and then get to the finals, right? And then with the Sixers as well, there have been some sort of discussions around, having Tyrese Maxey and Maxey Thibault sort of in that trade deal to Portland, right? And maybe even Simmons as well, right? Um, you could get that going. Maybe you don't need to have Maxey and Thibault, so you want to keep some of those defenders. But Philly's a really good defensive team, and I feel like if you're letting one or two of those guys go, you can improve that offense, but you're not sacrificing too much on the defensive end, because you still have Embiid. That's also like an all NBA level defender. And you've also got some other great role players as well. You've got Danny Green, and then you've got Seth Curry, and you've also got some other guys that can come off the bench and do pretty well, like Dwight Howard, etc. So those are sort of the three other teams that have shown pretty great, promise maybe, or just some sort of rumors that Damian Lillard could find himself in a better situation in, right? And then there's just the possibility that, nothing happens and he just stays in Portland, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because now we got to just discuss like sort of the validity of that statement. Like he says that it's not true, but I mean, what do you really think about it?
I think he's just airing out frustrations, and
Mm-hmm.
for me, I try to get into media. That's like my major and all that. And I know how the media is. They love to take a story and run with it. Um, I do think there is truth to his frustrations. I think there is a lot of truth to it, and I think that right now he's just trying to stay face because he still is a Portland Trailblazer at the moment. Obviously, he doesn't want to bite the hand that fed him, but at the same time, at some point he's got to realize if he wants to win something, maybe it is just best for him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there's a lot of truth to it. But like I said, he's just definitely just trying to stay face. But I want to talk about some of those trade packages you're talking about in those to those locations. Um, I don't really see him going to the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that's a really strange situation with the whole Conley thing and Mitchell. I don't know how well him and Mitchell will play together. If they do manage to keep Mitchell on the roster and trade for
Yeah.
Lillard, because they're both very ball dominant players. And
Yeah.
the
And I mean,
guard position,
you also got Rudy Gobert on that like $200 million contract.
yeah, his
How are you
contract's
gonna be
atrocious.
able to how are you even gonna be able to like pay for that without going over the salary cap, right?
Yeah, it's good. So I don't know how they want to manage that one for that situation.
Mm.
Um, what comes to the Boston Celtics, I can see that being a good place for Lillard, but I don't know if that would be the place he'd want to be for a championship contention.
Fair.
It would make them a much better team. He can definitely be the point guard that they wanted than Kemba Walker, because Kemba Walker definitely was not their guy and not did
Yeah.
not lead up to any of the expectations they had set out for him. Um, but I think Lillard would definitely go above and beyond. Um, Jalen Brown's a great player, and they could probably package something around that. My only issue is Jalen Brown is also a guard slash can play small forward position. I don't know what that would leave Portland with, because McCollum's still a guard, a shooting guard, predominantly shooting guard. I don't know how well he plays at the point guard position if they want to move him there. So I
Mhm.
think they have to look at the grand scheme of it all, unless they want to package McCollum away, like I said, a totally separate trade for something else. So I don't know how well that would work out for Portland. And the Sixers, just I don't know. I mean, they're giving up a lot of good defenders there. I do agree, giving up one or two defenders wouldn't be too much. But if they did give up Simmons, Thibault, and Maxi, I think that would be, in my opinion, I would think that would be too much. I'd give
Yeah, that'd
up,
be too much. Maybe at least like two out of the three, right?
yeah. If you can give up
Um,
I would say give up Maxi.
mhm.
Yeah, because you're gonna get a guard in return. So I'd say if I were in that situation, I'd give up Maxi
Yeah.
and give up Simmons, because obviously they want to ship out. They're exploring options for Simmons in the first place, and
Mhm.
I think that wouldn't be a horrible place for them to still, grow as players and still potentially be in the postseason mix. So I don't think anyone would be too mad if they were sent
Yeah.
off to there in that situation. But I don't think they can afford to give up too many options. And I feel like they have to at least keep one of the three of the defenders, made like great defenders besides Embiid, because Embiid's a great defender, but he's not even on the table. But
Mhm.
like out of those three you named, they had to at least try to keep one if they want to do something like that. I just a
Yeah.
little trade, it can really go anywhere. And like at the same time, like we said, it can really go nowhere. But I think he really is in a position where he doesn't have a lot of accomplishments. He doesn't have too many all-star selections. He doesn't have too many all NBA selections. He's not on any all defensive teams.
Mhm.
He doesn't have too many accomplishments. I think a ring will definitely polish off and make you look at his career more like hindsight. Look at like, he did a lot in his career. Yes, he doesn't have the accolades, but like I think having a ring, and then that would make you look further into what he did in his career. I think he's at that point. And I think that, you know, I'm I'm all for it. I'm not crazy about people ring chasing when it's blatantly obvious. Like, no offense to Boogie Cousins, but when he signed with the Warriors back then, I was like, that's just blatant ring chasing. Like, he's just trying
Warriors,
to
the
grab a ring.
Lakers, and then
Yeah.
the Clippers. I mean, what's next? Brooklyn?
Yeah. Like, he's just running to the ring chase. Like, I'm not cool with that. But like,
Yeah,
you know, when I understood when KD was upset and he wanted to win a ring because he felt like,
yeah,
with the Thunder, he already has an MVP under his belt and he's already all NBA player and he's a great play talent. He just wanted a ring. I don't I don't like that he went to the team that literally just beat them the year, but I understand that, hey, he wants to win a championship. Like when LeBron went to the Heat, he just wants to win a championship. So it's
yeah.
like I'm okay. I'm cool with people just being honest with us. Like, I'm really just gonna leave my team to win a championship. Like, I
Mhm.
respect your honesty. And I just want him to just outright say, I want to leave and win a championship. I would respect that a lot more than him now denying it and then so because if a request really does come out, it kind of looks bad on his part because he denied it and then he requested out anyway. So I just want him to be
Yeah,
honest with us.
yeah. I mean, I agree, man. Like, especially like when you start to hear these sort of things like over and over and over again. Like we've had some rumors here and there, but they kind of die pretty quickly, right? But I mean, Lillard has been like the one of the most talked players about like this sort of like post off season kind of thing. And eventually at that some point, it's just like if you're hearing these rumors like this much, I mean, there's probably he's probably just hiding it inside that he just wants to get out and just I would like to just sort of hear him eventually just say, hey man, I just want to get out. And I feel like at this point he's done a lot for Portland. I think they should just kind of accept that and just sort of move on and just look for something else instead, right?
Yeah. I think on that note, any more or less remarks?
Just want to see Dame win a ring. That's all, man. I just want to see him
I
win a ring.
I agree
That would
with
be
you.
exciting.
He's one of those players where he's been underdog for far too long. I would love to see him just, you know, be a big contributor, if not the main contributor on a championship team, because
Hmm.
there's just some players you just always root for, and he's one of those players for sure.
Yeah,
And
man.
on that note, that's it for our video today. We appreciate you guys watching and listening to our podcast and our videos. Obviously, you can like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram at Speak True Sports. You can follow us also on Twitter. Check out our website. It came up just this past month. It's awesome. It's new, fresh, and we just want you guys to enjoy everything that we put out, and we just appreciate you guys all the time.
Indeed.
So, peace out from Trey.
And this is Sparsh. Take it easy.